this is not going to be a tornado threat ends at sunset. No, we're going to begin to watch a low-level jet stream kick in right around sunset, and that is going to continue to strengthen this storm as it moves to the east. Chance Cold Iron, want to bring you in right now because, Chance, I know we've been watching your stream. This storm, it is strengthening. We can see it clearly here on velocity moving to the east. Chance, what are you seeing from your vantage point? All right, we'll get Chance back on in just a little bit, but still, when you see these bright colors coming in here, this is going to be a good indication that this storm it's still cycling, and as it continues to cycle, it's going to basically keep that tornado threat alive as it moves to the east here. So these storms, as we know across western Oklahoma, they can quickly pick up, they can rotate, the rotation can come down a little bit, and then they can pick back up. But anyone from Trail to Camargo, again, I'm getting into my tornado shelter. This Hook Echo clearly going to continue to move to the east here, and some very large hail within this storm. Right now, I'm going to probably, when I see radar image like this, easily going to be getting about tennis ball size hail falling overhead. So large hail on this tornado warning, and the Hook Echo is just about 5 to 7 miles now west of Camargo. Chance Cold Iron, we have you on the phone right now. Give us an update on what you're seeing.
Hi, David. I'm out of the loop right now. I'm 3 miles south of Harmon. The backside of the storm's got awesome structure, so there's no guide to it, but I got to get out of this mud hole and get back up towards my side, so I'll back over to you.
All right, yeah, Chance, certainly that's a difficult area to chase. A lot of rural roads, and not every single one will take in the direction that you want, so he's repositioning. But right on down Highway 34, if I know anyone that takes Highway 34 during this time of the afternoon as it takes you north towards Woodward, you want to give them a heads up and say this storm that you see in front of you is tornado warned. We look at it here in the last 30 to 60 minutes, and we can see that strengthening of the storm moving more to the east here, and that's going to put it into Camargo now at about 6:17. So Camargo, you have about 8 minutes before this storm moves overhead. It is tornado warned. You need to be getting into your shelter or into the innermost room of your house away from windows. Ceiling, which is going to be all the way over on the outside of the tornado warning, but I expect that ceiling, this tornado threat is very real for you. 6:55 as we watch this storm continue to move to the east. So our very first tornado warning of the day. The atmosphere, as we've been saying, was primed for there to be tornadic development, basically the highest tornado threat that we have seen in the United States all year long, and it's happening right now across Oklahoma, western and northern Oklahoma, and that threat comes into the metro where Oklahoma City included in that tornado watch until midnight. So this storm moves to the east. A lot of heavy rain, and we're going to get the hail core that's going to come right into Camargo. Then the rain's going to let up for just a little bit in Camargo before we begin to watch that area of rotation move right overhead. And we know out here how fast tornadoes can just spin up and just drop out of the sky here. So we're going to have to watch very closely. Camargo, again, in your shelter, you are in the innermost room of your house, away from windows, as we have some very strong winds within this storm. Jonathan Condor, I know you've been looking at the last couple radar scans, both with velocity and reflectivity. What have you seen with this storm over the last couple minutes?
Well, I think the rotation has come down just a little bit, but it's still there, and there's a still really stout mesocyclone. So even though the storm, it's going to fluctuate, it's going to change a little bit. When we're looking at the velocity data, the storm is going to cycle. There have not been any other storms out ahead of the storm, so we're pretty much, the storm has a lot of warm, humid air flowing into it. The further it goes to the east, I mean, it's still 6:11. There's plenty of sunlight out there. The winds are conducive for low-level rotation. Again, this is going to be a cyclic supercell. Look at that. It's the rogue storm. It's the only storm out there. Lots of inflow coming into it, and it's going to continue to cycle. So let's say right now we have no confirmed tornadoes right now. There may be some brief funnels, but Damon, this thing is going to keep on going as it tracks to the northeast. Just give it some time. We're going to have to watch the velocity, watch that Hook Echo, watch the inflow notch, and it's going to cycle. Maybe by the time it gets up to ceiling, it's going to be stronger and much more organized.
Absolutely, and one thing that is very certain about this storm is that when you have these lone supercells, they are not competing with any other storms nearby, so it has all the instability in the atmosphere that it needs to continue to strengthen. You know, as we look just west of Camargo, This rotation is getting ready to pass right over, and now we're probably about 1-2 miles away from Camargo. I am in my tornado shelter or away from windows in Camargo as this storm continues to move overhead, because we're also going to get some very large hailstones within this storm, and they're going to fall right overhead. But there is nothing blocking this storm from getting any weaker. When you look at these storms, when they're all by themselves, we have all this inflow, all this air that is rushing in out of the south up to the north. And because there aren't any storms blocking it to the south, this storm can basically just feed off of all the instability in the atmosphere. And trust me, it is very, very high. So large hail core right over right over Highway 34. And we are about a minute away or so from this hook echo moving right over Camargo. Tornado warning. Camargo Trail, even now looking out towards Lenora, this is an intense storm. And while, again, it has that rotation, it also has that incredibly large hail with it. That hail core is falling right now just between Visay and Camargo. Visay, we know for sure that this storm is going to stay down to the south, and it's going to move to the northeast here. So Taloga, Sealing, 6:49 to about 7 o'clock. Jeremy Carter, I want to bring you in right now. Jeremy, I know you've been on this storm all afternoon. Tell us what you're seeing.
Damon, I'm looking. If you look, I'm going to stand back out here to the southwest. You can see the base coming down. You can see the inflow tail pulling in. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get out ahead of it where I get me a south road to get back under it. And I really can't see anything on the ground at my vantage. But I'm going to basically try to get south. Back to you. All
right, Jeremy. Certainly this storm, and the latest information now coming in is that the storm has slowed down. The storm has slowed down. When you see the storm slowing down, it's because it's beginning to turn more to the right. And as we have been saying, these right-turning thunderstorms, these are going to be the ones they slow down, but they strengthen, and the potential for them to produce a tornado begins to increase even more so than where we are right now. So storm track to the east here, Sealing, Taloga, you are going into your shelter as well. Same thing in Camargo, and as we see this hook echo just, again, 1 or 2 miles west of Camargo, I am quickly getting into my shelter if I am not there right now, or I'm quickly getting into the innermost room of my house away from the windows, because there's also going to be a lot of hail with this storm. Right now, this is the only severe thunderstorm that we have in the state right now. The instability, the shear, it is all there. This is a very, very potent severe weather day across Oklahoma, and when you get these lone thunderstorms that just pop up, they can just continue to grow and grow and grow, and that's what this one's doing right here. So for the time being, we're going to see this hook echo continue to move right over Camargo, right along Highway 34. Visay, you're okay. While we're getting the rain in Visay, the rotation is going to stay south of you, and that's expected as the storm becomes more of a right turner. And those are the storms that I get the most concerned about, because when you see them turning more right, turning more east instead of going to the northeast, those are the ones that will continue to strengthen. And now looking down the line from Sealing to Taloga and even down towards places like Oakwood, you are going to be in the path of this storm. Jonathan Conder, I know this is the only severe thunderstorm that we have in the state right now, but when you have these lone supercells, they have all the instability to work with.
Yeah, this is the lone storm. And one thing that we saw in Jeremy Carter's picture, which you can see is the upper left-hand corner of the screen, is that when he panned to the right, and if Jeremy's listening to our off-air, they can tell Jeremy right now to pan to the right while he's driving south. So right now, Jeremy's cutting into the storm. As he's driving south, there were feeder bands. You saw the low-level clouds. You can almost make them out on the upper left-hand picture. You can make these little low-level clouds. Those are that little cloud right above where it says live. If you were to connect the dots, that's the feeder band that goes into that storm. You can see the moisture actually streaming in. So again, this storm is unobstructed. It's cycling a little bit right now. The velocity has come down, but again, it's moving into a very humid, rich, warm environment. It may take some time. Maybe it's not doing it right this second, but give it some time and the storm will cycle. Let's take a little bit broader view. Again, that's about the only storm out there. Another thing we have to watch are the storms back towards Wheeler and Shamrock into parts of Texas. That's where the dry line is. The thermal cap may be a little strong out there, but again, as we get a little bit later in the evening, those storms might come into western Oklahoma. So this is the lone storm right now, but again, we have to watch the storms coming in from the southwestern flank.